What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this episode of Latest on Sports Podcast. Today, we are just going to be quickly going over and having an analysis of all 32 picks of this year's draft in the first round. We're going to want to do this every day of the draft. For day one, we're going to be going over all 32 picks, but for day 2 and 3, we're just going to be going over the notable picks, because if we went over every pick, it would take significantly too much time. So this is just a quick rundown, quick synopsis of all 32 picks.
And this is taken moments after the draft. So the first pick obviously was Joe Burrow. We can just go through and say that was a great pick.
That was the best player, well, not in my opinion, the best player on the board, but the best player for them. Yeah, excellent pick for them. Number 2, Chase Young for the Redskins. You guys know my opinion on this. If you saw my should do mock draft, I think their D-line is the only good positional group on their team, and they should have gone with the best player available, which is Isaiah Simmons.
And I just thought it was a great pick for them. I think maybe they're going to trade one of their DNs. Montez Sweat has a lot of trade value. I thought they might have traded back in the first round to get someone, but I think that Chase Young is just a game changer.
Now, I'm not saying Chase Young is bad, because he's very, very good, but Chase Young is obviously a very, very good player, and that's still just going to boost their team.
Okay, next pick. Also notice that there's no trades in the top 10, which is crazy, especially because there's so much talk about it.
Yep.
So the Lions stayed put and got their replacement for Slay, which was Jeff Okudah from Ohio State, corner. Great pick overall.
It was biggest positional need. I think, as the analysis said during the draft, that Derek Brown was tempting, but with Darius Slay's absence, I think Jeff Okudah is the only reasonable pick here. So great pick for them.
Yeah, great pick.
At number 4, the Giants selected Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Andrew Thomas was kind of slept on. Some people viewed him as their offensive tackle 4, but he had 2 amazing years at Georgia.
Yeah.
And I had him at my offensive tackle 2, only behind Tristan Wirfs because of his amazing combine. But Andrew Thomas, excellent selection.
Honestly, you can't go wrong with it. The top 4 offensive tackles are all solid in their own way. Andrew Thomas is very solid, very huge, very big, and he can move too, and very physical.
Yeah,
so he'll be great for the Giants.
I think he's very safe. Now, can I kick off pick 5?
Of course you can.
God damn it, Miami! They picked Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback out of Alabama. Yeah, they absolutely ruined it for me.
We're sorry.
Look,
picked it.
Like I said, I never wish injury on a player, and I never tell a player what they can't do, won't do, or what they're not capable of doing. But I just don't think Tua Tagovailoa is going to be able to be a franchise quarterback for 17 games a season. I think Justin Herbert was just a better option for them. So Tua Tagovailoa goes at number 5. I'll admit it, I was wrong. I thought he was going to fall. I was wrong. You heard it here first. LOS, Jake is saying I was wrong.
And that's okay. All the rumors, everything pointed to. I don't understand. I thought he was falling. Fourth round was a stretch, but still.
All I can say is best of luck to Tua. I hope
I think Miami had a ton of leverage in this draft, and I don't think they picked very well at all.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll get to that
Tua,
for sure.
I mean, great for him to go in the first round, obviously for the money as opposed to a 4th round.
Great kid.
But yeah, I mean, he has a lot of good character. But anyways, we're gonna move on for that pick. I was wrong.
Okay, who we thought would have been to the Dolphins ended up going right behind the Chargers. There was a chance, if the Chargers didn't pick Herbert was going to slide, but Chargers were smart, got their quarterback. Yep. We'll see what happens with Tyrod and him. I think Herbert will end up winning it.
For sure.
Definitely a Philip Rivers type, but
I'd like to see Justin Herbert do kind of more of a Baker Mayfield role and not necessarily, where I think Tyrod Taylor is actually the backup for Baker during that. But I'd like to see him maybe not start week 1, 2, or 3, but jump in midway through week 4, maybe if they're losing. But Justin Herbert, I think, is a franchise quarterback. So is Tua Tagovailoa if he can stay healthy. Pick number 6, the Panthers selected Derek Brown. Yeah, sorry. Pick number 7, Panthers selected Derek Brown, defensive tackle out of Auburn. Very, very good pick. Very, very safe pick. This guy is going to be one heck of a player on that defensive front for a very long time. This was an excellent selection for the Panthers.
Huge. Nothing huge in the top 10 besides Tua. Other than that, it was very pick the best guy available.
It was kind of conservative, yeah.
And Brown was a solid pick for the Panthers. They lost a lot of guys. I think they need to do a complete rebuild, in my opinion.
Yep. New head coach. New quarterback. So good pick for them.
All right, now with the Cardinals, they got one of the best players in this draft. He plays anywhere. Isaiah Simmons. As a Seahawks fan, I am scared to play him twice a year. So good in college. Such a great player. Literally play everywhere. He's going to play everywhere. So great pick at 8 for the Cardinals. I thought maybe they get Lamb because Kyler was saying that. But you got to go Simmons, and he's just a freak.
Yeah, and this was kind of a surprise for me. I thought, although I do view Isaiah Simmons as the best player in the draft, I thought that they would go an offensive tackle, considering Kyler Murray was tied for the third most sacked quarterback last season.
They'd have to go round 2.
But I think Isaiah Simmons, if he's there, you just really can't pass up on him. Like I said, I listed him here. He plays defense, like he said in the combine. If you guys watched the draft, you saw the animation of the amount of snaps he played everywhere else. But awesome pick. I think the Cardinals are beginning to be a contender for this 17
They're
playoff.
Scary. So I'll start the Jags off. We thought maybe Kinlaw, but they ended up going C.J. Henderson, the corner from Florida. This is one of the best corners, second best corner in this draft. He's just very good at what he does, He's very solid.
He had a very, very good combine. Obviously, the Jags needed a corner. They traded Jalen Ramsey, lost A.J. Boye in free agency.
Yep.
And so they went with the second best corner on the board. They had picked 20, but there was no chance C.J. Henderson would have made it past both the Raiders and the Falcons. Falcons, God, what a mess. We'll get to that later. But good pick for the Jags. Moving on to pick number 10, the Browns selected offensive tackle Jedrick Wills out of Alabama. This was a very good pick for them. They took one of the big 4 tackles. I think Jedrick Wills was probably the best pick for the Browns. While I do have Tristan Wirfs higher on my draft board, Jedrick Wills kind of adds a little bit of nastiness that they needed on that offensive front, and Baker is going to be very, very happy about this pick.
Yeah, just so you know, we're not doing grades. People like to look back on grades. It's like a final thing. You can't give a final thing. He hasn't even played a snap.
Exactly.
So we don't like to do grades. We're just trying to give analysis, and we'll get to the worse or better picks, however you want to say it next. But for Wills, that's just a solid player. You can't go wrong with him. He played amazing at Alabama, and I had him at 1, honestly.
And one of the things about grades is, I'm going to say it again, we'll never tell a player what they can't do, won't do, or not capable of doing, and that's exactly what grades do.
Yeah.
If you give somebody a D-minus grade, it's, hey, this guy can't do this, he can't do that, and we're never for that. We hope every single player becomes an all-pro, and we hope every single player makes hundreds of millions of dollars doing what they do. So,
okay, this was huge. I'm not sure what the Buccaneers were doing here.
Jets.
I'm sorry, the Jets. Oh, I see. So, that's right. The Tampa Bay does that a little bit later. So the Jets, seeing Wills going, they go offensive tackle from Louisville, Mekhi Becton, instead of going wide receiver. And I think this is because the Jets will look to get a second round wide receiver. They need to protect Sam Darnold first.
I thought they would go Jedrick Wills over Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton had those, or Mekhi Becton, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. He had those concerns about using steroids and those tests that came back negative.
That wasn't a big...
But obviously, when you're that big, it's not much of a factor. So they're going to go with their franchise tackle to protect Sam Darnold.
Of course. So I'll go next, and we're going to go Raiders.
Yikes.
That's 12. To think that Henry Ruggs is the first wide receiver off the board is crazy. Like, I know people were saying that, but I don't see it. You see Jerry Jeudy outplay
Henry Ruggs
every single Saturday. And then all of a sudden you see him being the first wide receiver taken. Obviously the Raiders like speed. They like to draft based off the combine alone, I guess.
But may I add, is this not the most Gruden-like
pick?
I told you before the pick, 100%. I said, watch, they're going to do something stupid. They're going to go Henry Ruggs because he's fast. This, like we said in our last draft when I had him getting Jalen Reagor, it's like the old Raiders days where they would just take the fastest guy and put him at receiver. So... receiver was a need, but I'm not sure Henry Ruggs was the right
much
pick.
Better, and so is Jefferson. I don't know. Ruggs doesn't run clean routes. It's crazy.
All right, so pick number 13. This was the 49ers pick. This was kind of weird. The Buccaneers traded up one pick to get Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle out of Iowa. The only reason I can think that they would trade up one pick is because maybe if... obviously the Bucs really wanted Tristan Wirfs, otherwise they wouldn't have traded up. My guess is that San Francisco was fielding calls from other teams about Tristan Wirfs, but the Buccaneers just kind of wanted him more, and so they said, we're going to jump the 49ers, or we're going to move up this pick so that nobody else can get the 49ers pick and trade or get Tristan Wirfs. So the Bucs get a very versatile, athletic offensive tackle to protect Tom Brady, and now this newly added Rob Gronkowski to this disgustingly potent offense.
The Buccaneers, after Wirfs, I think there's a huge drop-off. And so if you get stuck behind that drop-off, it's kind of dangerous.
And you're not going to take that offensive tackle.
And so they dumped some later picks, and they got who they needed. And so maybe that starting to make sense. So now I'll open up with the San Francisco. And San Francisco moved around a lot here. But right here they take Javon Kinlaw, the DT from South Carolina. And that's their replacement for.
I guess, yeah. And so at pick 14, obviously, like Tyler said, they get Javon Kinlaw.
DeForest Buckner. Yeah.
This is their replacement for DeForest Buckner,
Exactly.
I guess. I think they still, even though
Younger,
DeForest Buckner is
cheaper.
gone, have the best defensive line in all of football.
And they add to it. That's pretty.
Yeah, they added
impressive.
to it. I think they should have gone wide receiver here, which they do address wide receiver later. Maybe they just didn't like Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb here. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, they get one heck
Kinlaw's
of a
pretty
football
good.
player. Yeah,
Kinlaw's
just a
pretty good.
serious
So,
stud
yeah, of course.
at good value at pick 14.
All right, Broncos. What a draft from the Broncos. They didn't have to
Exactly.
do anything. They don't have to. Everyone's like they're gonna trade up, and then all of a sudden they get a pick between Jeudy and Lamb, and either way, either one of them is gonna be good.
Yeah.
I don't fault either one of them. They end up going Jerry Jeudy, the wide receiver out of Alabama, and yeah, that honestly I like that pick a lot. I think Jeudy fits very well with them. They just didn't. They just had to chill out and wait for him to fall into their hands. That's crazy.
And if you're John Elway sitting back in your seat, I'm not sure you have a better scenario. Obviously, you need that wide receiver, and to have Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb just sitting there at your disposal, where you can get either one of them.
Yes,
that
the
is
Broncos offense.
that
is
is
scary.
the scenario that John Elway was dreaming about last night, and it happened for him perfectly. Get
Think
the
about
wide
this.
receiver of the future.
Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay,
Yep.
and then Cortland Sutton, Noah
Yep.
Fant, and Jerry Jeudy. That's pretty scary.
That's going to be an awesome offense to watch for. And my favorite quarterback from last year's draft, Drew Lock. I am very excited for this Broncos
gonna be
team.
good.
Tyler, do you want to kick off this pick 16?
Don't even get me started on this guy. We watch film. We watch the combine. We watch everything on. And what do the Falcons do? They choke. AJ Terrell is
Joke
not
like
a
it's
first round
28
pick.
to 3. I'm sorry, Falcons fans.
There's Christian Fulton. There's
Oh, my
Dantzler. There's what's
There's
his name?
Jeff Gladney. I mean,
what are you thinking with AJ Terrell?
this is just, I don't know.
If you get burned for over 200 yards and
All right,
2 touchdowns
let me
in the
add
Natty,
something.
you
Let me
don't
add
deserve to be a
Let me add something, okay?
16th overall.
AJ Terrell is playing in this NFC South with Michael Thomas, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin,
And
Mike
Mike
Evans, Rob Gronkowski, with Tom Brady, Drew Brees. This is a ridiculously talented division, and you're gonna draft AJ
Every
Terrell.
time on film I watched him,
Oh,
he got
my
burnt.
goodness.
Like you say, North Carolina, not even like good teams are burning him. Like I
Yeah.
saw in North Carolina, Sam Howell just threw it over him,
Oh,
and he
my
got burnt by a
goodness.
double move. I'm like, are you serious?
Falcons fans, I am sorry.
sorry.
I hope AJ Terrell, if you're listening, like we said, please prove us wrong. But what we've seen,
Oh my
especially the
gosh.
combine,
We just
so most
laughed.
people at the combine, when you stand out, that's a good thing. AJ Terrell stood out because he fell over like twice.
understand.
He fell over in a basic backpedal drill. Anyway, I'm gonna move on from that before I get a little too heated up.
I just don't understand. I
At
don't
pick-
understand.
At pick 17, the Cowboys select CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. They re-extended Blake Jarwin. They lost longtime tight end Jason Witten to the Raiders this offseason. So Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup is going to make a very, very good offense. I'm not quite sure wide receiver was the biggest need, but I
But-
think the reason they did this is because their division rival, the Eagles, were just a couple picks behind them. And so I think the Dolphins are down to trade back if, the Eagles give them an offer at 18 if CeeDee Lamb's still available. So this for the Cowboys was less of let's get somebody we want and more of a let's take away playing against this guy 2 times a year.
Obviously, I like Fulton better here.
Yeah.
Just because corner, they don't have Byron, maybe
Gladney.
safety.
Yep.
But, I mean, if you have CeeDee Lamb, that
Yeah,
offense is getting
and
very scary.
At that
There's-
pick, that is just the best player available. So
Lamb's good. Lamb's very good. So
Exactly.
that could be huge. So I'm gonna go the Dolphins, who I just really didn't take advantage of what they had. They went Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle from USC. Now he is a first team All Pac-12. I just thought he was a second round pick just because he couldn't. His movement isn't as fluid, It's not as fluid. I didn't like that pick at all. I think
sometimes
Dolphins,
he kind of drops down a little bit, and the speed finesse rusher is able to get the hands off quick, and he kind of lunges
I
forward.
like Cleveland. What happened to Cleveland this
Ezra
draft?
Cleveland, I think, is a little bit underrated. I'd like to see a good team get Ezra Cleveland so he gets rewarded for following. But
Unbelievable.
this Austin Jackson
He'll go
pick,
early in the second round.
they filled the need, obviously, with the absence of Laramie Tunsil. And this actually wasn't the pick from Laramie Tunsil. This was the pick from the Minka Fitzpatrick trade.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, Austin Jackson, offensive tackle, is still good to protect
It's
Tua
not bad,
Tagovailoa.
but if I were to grade it, it'd
It's
be
not
like
perfect.
like if I were
Yes.
hypothetically.
But
C plus,
hypothetically.
C plus B minus. Like
Exactly.
It's good, but it's not the best they could have done.
So the Raiders add on to their questionable
Wow.
draft quest
Raiders.
with cornerback out of Ohio State, Damon Arnett.
Where'd you have him in your top 10?
11
10.
for my corner.
I have 10.
Yeah. Now we're not saying Damon Arnett is not good.
Solid.
I mean, 2 Ohio State corners in the top 20.
Wow.
That's a little bit crazy to me. Damon Arnett is good. I think he's second to third round talent. But hey, we know the Raiders, if they like a guy, they're not going to skip on him, just like they did with Cleveland Ferrell at pick 4 last year. At this point, I'd be surprised if the Raiders take a reasonable pick anymore. You know what I mean? Like
They just love to go high risk, high reward, I guess.
When Las Vegas is on the board, just get ready to be wowed. And if you're not wowed, that's when you should be wowed. If you get what I'm saying.
No kidding.
So
I just don't understand the Arnett just because there's much better. Fulton, Dantzler, and Gladney are still all there. They all play much better than he did. Better numbers. Although Damon has been starting since 2016.
Yep, that's true.
4-year starter.
He almost entered the draft last year, but got talked back into it to coming back, which I guess was a good decision for him. Because he ended up going first round.
Surprising for sure.
So for the Jags at pick 20, this was out of the Jalen Ramsey trade, which was the Rams pick. They get pass rusher out of LSU, K'Lavon
Jags
Chasen.
just get those guys on defense that just
I mean they got
always draft
Josh
like that.
Allen
Ramsey,
last
CJ
year.
Henderson, Josh Allen. They just love guys that will freaking go.
So this defense for the Jags got significantly better. At basically all 3 levels, because I think C.J. Henderson can play at that second level, kind of lower press corner, and then he can also play deep. I think if they even have an injury, I think he's just smart enough and athletic enough to play safety, even if they need him there, which I don't see.
Yes.
But this was just a really good draft for the Jags. I think that they were fortunate that Chasen fell this far, and so they obviously took him because that was a smart move.
Yeah, of course. And that's all she wrote. So I'm going to move on to the Eagles.
Yikes.
And obviously, they didn't have their top 4 wide receivers, so I thought they would trade back. But, they saw something in Jalen Reagor from TCU, the wide receiver. And I get it. He's fast. He's great hands. He'll help Wentz out a lot. They might have been able to trade back and still get him. But, take the best wide receiver available. Yep. That's still there.
And one of the things about draft strategies...
you know what? Hold on, time out. Not the best wide receiver. How did you not draft Justin Jefferson?
That's what I was going to say. Is just
okay.
I mean, they have Justin Jefferson, who went the pick after. Very fortunate for the Vikings. I bet they were probably surprised when they heard a different J-named wide receiver go before him.
He's fast, though. So
he's fast, but I guess the Eagles view him as a franchise receiver. And if the franchise receiver is there, then you don't wait on him. You don't trade back. You take him. So we'll see how that pans out.
Brown. Maybe. There's always a chance.
I don't think he's bad. I think he's still a very good receiver. I just had Justin Jefferson a couple spots higher.
So now you can go on Justin.
So leading into that, Justin Jefferson at pick 22 from the Vikings. This was the pick from the Bills. Their actual pick was a little bit later. But they get wide receiver Justin Jefferson out of LSU, who was a, really, really good wide receiver this offseason. Or not this offseason, sorry, this college football season. And Justin Jefferson is going to instantly boost this offense. I think he's a day one starter. As Michael Irvin said, 10,000 times during the draft, he played a lot out of the slot.
Yes.
And so that's going to be interesting with
Thielen.
I think
playing
Thielen out of the slot. But Thielen's
everywhere.
more experienced, so I think he should definitely be the one that moves out. But good for Kirk Cousins. I would have liked to see them address the offensive line in round 1. Maybe with an Ezra Cleveland, or I actually hope that they would take Cesar Ruiz here. But hey, if Justin Jefferson's there and you need a wide receiver, there's no way you pass it.
Even though they didn't draft an offensive tackle, I think that the Vikings had the best first round draft.
I agree. In terms of straight value
of where they got their guys at, we'll get to who they got to at the end of the first round.
We'll discuss. I was telling
that
at the end.
my buddy Jackson Dot Lure,
that
they had the best draft. Justin Jefferson's such a great player. I loved him. He's definitely he's actually my third, but
me too.
One of my favorite guys in this draft. He just is a winner in my opinion. Yep. So that's a great draft.
So pick 23, the Patriots deal this pick out to the Chargers, where they select linebacker out of Oklahoma, Kenneth Murray. This was a good pick for them and a very good draft for them. They give up a second and a third, which is actually quite a bit of value for this pick. Yeah. But they get their franchise quarterback. Kenneth Murray is
middle linebacker,
a very good linebacker. Obviously, they've got Denzel Perryman there, but Thomas Davis is still getting old and older with all the injuries.
I don't think he's there. Davis is in New Orleans.
I know. Well, when the Colts played him week 1,
he was
there.
You know what? Yeah, Davis is there.
Anyway, I think Kenneth Murray is a very good fit and a very good pick for the Chargers, so good for them.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of pressure on Kenneth Murray. The Chargers dropped a few picks for him, so obviously you have more pressure to
hype
produce.
around you. Yep.
But I think that he'll be good. He can fly. He's very athletic, so I hope that he fits well in that system, because I think from looking on the outside he does.
So at pick 24, the Saints selected Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan, who primarily played center. Well, not primarily, only played center. They drafted Eric McCoy, who played center exceptionally well for them in the second round last year. And this pick is kind of a little bit challenging for me. They needed.
Really?
I mean,
he's very versatile.
He's
Even
very,
though he plays center,
I mean,
he can
he's
play guard.
athletic, obviously, and as I said, you're going to get mad at me for this, but he went to Michigan, which is a smart school.
Yeah, of course.
But that doesn't always equate to being smart on the football field. But Cesar Ruiz, nevertheless, a very good pick. But this one, I just think that there were more, kind of glaring needs that they should have addressed here.
Queen for sure.
Yeah. But Cesar Ruiz is a good player, and I think he's instantly going to boost it. So that Saints offensive line just got a lot better. So this, to me, maybe thought that, hey, Drew Brees is getting a little bit older. What's more valuable to him? More time in the pocket, less getting hit? Or is it more valuable to draft a wide receiver? And at the end of the day, they ended up just saying, hey, this offensive line is going to benefit them more.
Yeah, so at guard for the Saints right now is Warford.
Yeah, Larry Warford, who's a very good guard.
Pete.
Andreas Pete was a first-round bust, really. I mean, he
yeah,
never
so
really
maybe
lived
that's
up to the hype.
Maybe either McCoy's moving to left guard and Caesar's going to start at center.
Yep.
I don't know. I think maybe they should have gone middle linebacker. I'm looking right
what
now, and they had, for linebacker, they had Chris Hansen and Alex Anzalone.
He's pretty good.
He's good, but and then Demario Davis.
Yep.
So Demario
Davis is an all-pro. I think he was the best linebacker in football this year.
Maybe they should have gone. Saints are in an interesting spot. So maybe Piet, whatever his name is, Pete.
Yeah,
he's gonna be replaced.
Saints fans, don't be surprised if they deal Andreas Pete for an extra 5th, 4th round pick this year. So that's going to be unfortunate to see your first round pick go, but we're going to move on.
Okay, perfect. So, going down to 25 was originally the Vikings, but they traded to the 49ers, and the 49ers got their wide receiver that they needed with Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver from Arizona State. Very fast, huge wingspan.
Yep.
It was very interesting to see him go over Higgins and LaVisca.
Yeah.
Because no one had it.
Or Denzel Mims and guys like that, but
it fits the system very well. I think he's
they're
very good
with Kendrick Bourne and what's his
Debo
face?
Samuel.
Debo. I mean, they run underneath and can take it the mile.
I think Mims would have been nice for that offense because he would have been the deeper threat.
Yeah, but Brandon Ayuk fits that scheme. He's a good pick for him. To add on that wingspan, he has the longest wingspan or the broadest wingspan out of any player 6 foot and under in combine history.
That's so
impressive.
So
if you think about that, Jimmy Garoppolo can put it in a bunch of different places, and Brandon Ayuk will catch it. So that is a really good pick for the 49ers, in my opinion. I'm not really sure that they needed to trade up for it, but hey, do what you got to do. John Lynch is a very, very good and successful GM, so good pick for San Francisco.
And they had some picks to burn from their other picks. So now moving on, we had the this is funny.
Oh man,
what were the Packers thinking? So Dolphins originally had the 26, and the Packers traded into it and drafted Jordan Love, the quarterback from Utah State.
Let me say something real quick.
Of course.
You go to the NFC Championship game, right? In San Francisco, in Santa Clara.
Yeah.
And you get manhandled by the 49ers, and you're sitting here reevaluating on the season, and you go, you know what? What's going to help us win games? What's going to help us get to the Super Bowl?
Aaron Rodgers.
I know. Let's draft a quarterback. Let's trade up for a quarterback when we already have a premier quarterback in the NFL. I don't know how that equates. I mean, math people, I know you guys are thinking, players equate to wins, and, there's a formula to it all.
Thinking that.
Jordan Love does not equate to wins when you have Aaron Rodgers already starting. And Aaron Rodgers is, I'm not going to say he's a diva, but he's a diva. And I think he was complaining for, maybe, I think his offensive line was fine, but another weapon. And so they're going to be like, hey, here's another weapon. Yeah, teach our new quarterback that we're going to replace you. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to want to, mentor this Jordan Love. Jordan Love's really going to have to get it off his...
It's going to be a Jimmy Garoppolo, Tom Brady situation.
Yeah, and I
100%.
think that's a good point. I think that Jordan Love is going to see his first starting action probably somewhere else than Green Bay.
Of course.
Honestly,
I agree with that 100%.
This is the second most head-scratching pick to me.
Yeah, it doesn't
AJ Terrell is more confusing to me because I just think that he's complete garbage as of now.
Yeah, of course.
Hopefully, as we said, he becomes an all-pro and proves us all wrong. I would love to see that. Tua, maybe more head-scratching for me, but Jordan Love,
4 more years on Rodgers' contract,
Oh
and
my goodness.
he's not that old. He can still
He's
move.
36.
He's fine.
I mean, you don't guys like Tom Brady who's playing at 42.
You don't need Josh Love right now.
Jordan.
Oh,
Josh.
that's right. There's 2. Jordan Love, of course. You do not need Jordan Love right now. That is not the player that you wanted. You
I
gotta win right
laughed
away.
hysterically when this happened.
You got to win right away.
Because as a Colts fan, there's one thing I didn't want. One thing. I don't care who we drafted for this. I just did not want Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And now that we can't get Jordan Love, I'm ecstatic. So we're going to move on to pick 27. Your team, why don't you start us off?
Originally, I was very mad about this pick. I really, really wanted Jonathan Taylor because the Seahawks, they obviously have Chris Carson and Rashad Penny, but they're both coming off season-ending injuries.
That's a good point.
So I was just kind of looking through, and I love Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is my favorite running back in this draft out of Wisconsin. The way he runs, his ball carrier vision is amazing. But it makes sense. So the Seahawks drafted Jordan Brooks, and Jake, you haven't even scouted him this year, and I had him actually 4th on my linebacker. And I honestly, looking back at some of his tape recently, not being biased or anything, I do think he's better than Patrick Queen. If the Seahawks ran like a 3 linebacker set with Bobby, KJ Wright, and Michael Kendricks. Michael Kendrick is probably going to jail for insider trading.
Yep.
So this is a perfect guy to replace him, and ultimately, I think we'll replace Bobby Wagner. The thing is, Texas Tech coach said this is the next Bobby Wagner, and he would know because that coach coached Bobby Wagner at Utah State. So I'm happy. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, a lot of fans like, oh my gosh, why do we always do this? Like, are you guys not realizing that this is what we do every year? We stick to the guys that we think are going to be good. And
this is kind of like last year when they got LJ Collier out of TCU, just kind of like boom out of nowhere. I think they're almost kind of like the Raiders, just not quite severe because usually they have later picks. But hey, I mean, he's one heck of a GM.
108 tackles.
And I think Jordan Brooks is, obviously I didn't scout him, but from what I've heard in the tape that I saw on him during that draft, he's athletic. Yeah, he's fast. He's got a good ability to kind of get off blocks and reach.
Yes.
So Jordan Brooks, good pick for the
One more
Seahawks.
thing with the Seahawks. We have Shaquem Griffin. He's a great special teams player. And we also have Ben Burke-Kirby and Cody Barton. Both of those are going to be special teams players. We can't really trust them, honestly, yet. But I think Jordan Brooks right away can be a guy, a dude.
So on to pick number 28. The Ravens got lucky. Patrick Queen came right to them. They didn't have to move up. In my draft, I actually ended up having them have to get Malik Harrison because Patrick Queen and Kenneth Murray were gone. But good for Baltimore. They get Patrick Queen right where they want him. I think he's just raw. He needs a little bit of coaching. I think sometimes he trusts his eyes a little bit too much.
Yes.
And I think that way offenses are able to fool him and get him out of position. Like, for example, when they kind of move the offensive line one way, he'll shift with it, and they'll throw an RPO slant behind him. So I think he's got a lot of raw talent. Obviously, extremely athletic, extremely fast. Good pick for the Ravens. But a little bit of coaching, and this guy could be the next step.
I think he's the perfect Ravens player. He has all the physical traits that you want. You just need to coach him up, and he'll turn out for you. So moving on to the Titans, they're gonna protect their run or keep up with their run game. They're gonna go Isaiah Wilson, the tackle from Georgia, very raw.
Yep.
He's definitely a down the road guy. Maybe I think he's gonna replace Conklin.
Yep.
And that's just. I thought they might have gone corner because they lost Logan Ryan, but they didn't, and they went Isaiah Wilson.
I think Ezra Cleveland is better than Isaiah Wilson.
I agree.
But hey, I'm not mad as a Colts fan that the Titans get somebody who's not as good as somebody else. But I don't think Isaiah Wilson. I mean, kind of a lot of what they said during the draft is, which I'd agree with, is Isaiah Wilson. I'm not sure if he can really be a day one starter. So I'm not sure you really pick offensive linemen in the first round if they're not going to be a day one starter. But I guess the Titans view him as a day one starter. They're going to protect Ryan Tannehill, who they paid a ridiculous amount of money to, and hopefully give a little bit more push to that run game behind one of the best running backs in the game, Derrick Henry. So good for the Titans.
Yeah.
They get some protection and just kind of boost their offense, which maybe would have given them a little bit more of an edge to win that AFC Championship game and get them into the Super Bowl. Moving on to pick 30. This was the pick that the Packers dealt to the Dolphins in order to get Jordan Love. Anyway, the Dolphins get Noah Igbinoghene. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Cornerback out of Auburn. Personally, I thought there were better corners available, such as Christian Fulton, Cameron Dantzler. Jeff Gladney.
That was still all there.
I mean, we've said Christian Fulton, Cameron Dantzler, Jeff Gladney like 10 times during this episode because we just think that those guys are better. But, I mean, we're not going to say whatever being Hognay is bad, but I think that there was a little bit more talent. Obviously, they have 2 second-rounders next year. Yeah, AJ Epinesa would have been nice here. I mean, their corners are already good. They've got to keep to leave Xavier Howard, who I guess is in a little bit of legal trouble, but they made Byron Jones the highest-paid corner in NFL history this offseason.
Maybe a safety would have been nice here.
Yeah, maybe a Grant Delpit or Xavier McKinney.
So I see this kid playing nickel and slot and then moving into the bigger roles when Aqib is gone.
Yeah, but what type of corner? What nickel is first round talent? Like I just don't understand.
Plus, I'm pretty sure the Dolphins have early second round picks.
Yep.
And I think that Antoine Winfield can play all those slot nickel wherever you want him.
A little bit like Minka Fitzpatrick, play him all over.
I think he could have done that. So moving on, we have.
This was the pick for.
Oh yeah, so San Francisco to the Vikings, and this is why I think the Vikings. This pick right here.
Yep.
Jeff Gladney, the corner from TCU. We thought were amazing. I had him third on my corner list after Henderson.
Cornerback third.
Just the way that he played. He's just a dog. He just is a pit bull. You know, he fights. He's a great tackler. Breaks on the ball well, physical, and they got him at 31, and that's great value.
He almost reminds me of Jalen Ramsey, and I guess I'm not going to sit here and compare pick 31 to the former 5th overall pick, all-pro Jalen Ramsey, but just kind of that dog mentality. You can just see he plays with it. He's aggressive. He wants to. If you're going to catch the ball, he's going to smack the ball straight out of you, and if he's not going to hit the ball, then he's going to hit you as hard as he can.
It's the right mentality for sure.
Exactly, and I think that the Vikings, obviously they lost Trey Waynes, Mackenzie Alexander, and Xavier Rhodes this offseason. Corner was a glaring need for them. So was wide receiver with the absence of Trevin Diggs. So they're going to get awesome value in this draft. In my opinion, the best first-round drafter in this draft. They're going to get Jeff Gladney and Justin Jefferson. The only other need they need is that offensive line, which really they could use. I guess not a center, because they got a center last year, but they could use guard.
Yeah,
they could use a tackle. So it'll be interesting to see how the Vikings carry up this amazing day one performance.
Yeah, okay, moving on. Last pick. If you want to add on to your Super Bowl team, you get this kid.
Talent.
And he isn't necessarily the best full running back.
Yeah.
This is Clyde Edwards-Helaire from LSU. And this is the Chiefs. So he's not the best pure running back.
Yeah.
But Darren Sproles 2.0 so much.
He reminds me of almost like Austin Eckler or Darren Sproles. As Tyler said, I don't think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the best running back in the draft, but if this makes sense to you, he's the best running back for the Chiefs.
Yes,
I don't think the Chiefs needed a J.K. Dobbins to run down the middle or give him stretches. I just don't think that's the Chiefs' offense. Damian Williams, he was never one to get a whole bunch of carries a game unless the run game was just flowing. Damian Williams caught a couple touchdowns in the Super Bowl. I think he was just better out of the backfield, and so that's who they're going to get. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is just amazing out of the backfield.
He's just a pit bull.
I mean, he can juke, he can spin. He's dang near impossible to get taken down.
Against NFL competition for sure.
And so Clyde Edwards-Helaire, maybe not the best running back, but the best running back for the former Super Bowl champions.
Okay.
So
we want to quickly go over some of the best talent that's still there. So we got Christian Fulton in the corner from LSU. Yep. That's surprising, but he'll be gone early.
In my opinion, the best player that's left is AJ Epinesa. How to the second round? I have no clue.
I have no idea either. He is has a great bull rush, so that was surprising. Another player that was surprising was Laviska Shenault.
Yeah.
Just because a lot of injuries recently, and
I'm not sure Laviska was surprising that he fell.
Yeah.
Or that he didn't go first round, but he's just ridiculously talented, and he'll
be a dog in the second round. Yeah. He'll be gone right away.
Denzel Mims is another really good wide receiver. Michael Pittman. This class is just so deep. There's so much wide receiver talent.
All the running backs.
In the second round.
So you got Swift, Taylor, and Dobbins, all running backs. Mm-hmm. Like Mel Kiper said, he said 6 running backs will go in the second round. I'm thinking 5 or 4.
Yeah.
But definitely all of them will go right away. They'll go right away.
Yep. I can definitely see those 3: Dobbins, Taylor, and Swift.
Yep.
AJ Dillon, Cam Akers
Yetur,
could sneak their way in there. Yeah, Yetur. Gross Matos, he's obviously a good talent for the second round.
Gallimore, Blacklock. So there's so much talent in the second round. Definitely teams. We had teams reaching, teams settling. teams getting some amazing. It was just a great first round.
It was an interesting, obviously,
Yeah.
first round for us all. We've never seen Roger Goodell sit there with fans boo him on a TV. It's kind of funny to see some of the fans. They couldn't fill up all of their squares. I don't know how you can't fill up your squares.
Yeah,
but
I would volunteer.
yeah, I had to volunteer for all 32 teams.
The
That'd be so
Buccaneers
cool.
the Raiders had 3 cheerleaders and 2 empty slots. I was shocked.
So, anyway,
Chargers couldn't fit.
first round was awesome. It was, worth the wait. But
awesome.
we're
We
going
needed
to put this
this.
video out ASAP for you guys. We'll have another video right after day 2 and another video right after day 3. So thank you guys for tuning in. Be ready to tune in to our day 2 recap tomorrow, which is going to be not quite the same because we're not going to go over all 64 picks tomorrow. But we're just going to recap and highlight some of those bigger picks. So yeah, be sure to tune into that tomorrow. And hopefully your team had an awesome draft and stay safe.